And so for Sitch to come on and blame the Democrats is so deranged, as though the Democrat, like imagine anyone, if this was similar with the Squad and Force the Vote and Nancy Pelosi, attacking Republicans for not voting for Pelosi. Can you imagine that world? And especially in this case,
I know, because the standard for Republicans is the bars in hell for them being
absurd.
Decent people. Yeah, I can't imagine that narrative of like the Republicans didn't support Pelosi for leadership and now it's their fault that we're in disarray. Like what? Yeah. Oh my God, look at this cute political react content. Why do people have
either A, the Democrats
2346. Democrats foolishly fumble everything. Speaker McCarthy is outed. Wait, how could you possibly spin Republicans up their House leadership? Wait, hold on. Okay. Has this ever happened in the history of the United States? Or is this a first time? How is this a Democrat fumble?
either A, the Democrats are literally the stupidest people on the planet, which is possible, highly possible, or
that's likely,
or they are actually evil. Whoever replaces McCarthy is going to say, the Democrats are not going to help me. They're going to stab me in the back if I compromise with them.
I need a clear timeline because this is going to be a fact of the matter thing. Wasn't the issue that McCarthy stopped working with Democrats? I think I saw AOC claim that. I thought McCarthy wasn't honoring or wasn't trying to work with Democrats more. I thought that was one of the reasons why the Democrats abandoned him. It's complicated. Yeah, fuck. I shouldn't hedge my opinion on that. I wish I might need a clear breakdown of
them at all.
Right, yeah.
They're just making it that whoever replaces McCarthy 100% has to listen to Matt Gaetz and these, 8 people.
Yeah, it has to be party line votes from here on out. Yeah.
There's like Matt Gaetz as the Joker and his 8 little henchmen are holding the entire Republican House hostage, and the Democrats are just...
Real quick, I'll be out.
Yeah, go for it. What's up? You can stay. You don't have to leave. Damn.
Well,
we need more like conversations where we're agreeing with each other so that people don't hate you as much. Yeah,
I know it's crazy. I don't really care because I'm just
you know what
fun
well sure, I'm sure you are. I care though because I really like you and I don't want my community to hate you.
Okay?
No, we were having a talk at TwitchCon because I came from San Francisco. And I had like the conversation with all the rationalist people who are very, very, very smart. They're very smart, but they're kind of soulless. And in some of the private conversations that I was going over, like these are people that I know that do a good mix of both. We argue a lot, but you do a really good job at like having a soul and being like a real human being, but also being really intelligent. I know we haven't spent much of those moments together on stream, but like when we hang out and stuff in New York and chatted and talked, I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But my community I think has a very because all of our stuff has been fighting about the worlds that we both want.
Yeah,
that they view you as like a very cold, evil, like attacking person all the time. But yeah,
I think I come off that way too because I come on stream to ask a bunch of questions. Yeah, but if you see me on like when I'm just on my stream, I think that I'm very different than when I come on your stream.
Sure.
And I think that I just like that style of debate and discussion, and a lot of people hate that style of discussion. My sense is that you appreciate it and that you like running down those pathways and those direct questions.
Yeah, I like it, and it
really pisses people off.
Yeah, I like it, and I don't take it personally. Like when we're done, it's like, we're just cool or whatever. But a lot of people feel very badly about that over extended periods of time. So, but okay, I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate that. Well, on this topic, just to be clear, McCarthy ruled out a deal with Democrats because McCarthy needed the votes in order to get to defeat the motion to vacate. He needed the votes, and McCarthy said, I'm not going to discuss anything with Democrats. Democrats made an offer, according to McCarthy, to have some kind of power sharing in exchange for Democratic votes, and he said, I'm not interested in that offer, and guess what? I'm not even going to give anything over in exchange for your votes. I don't even want to talk to you. I'm not even going to ask you for your votes.
Gotcha. So I'm just reading real quick this headline from The Hill. It says, McCarthy says he won't give Democrats anything in exchange for support as speaker. Was he ousted? Was it yesterday or the day before?
It was the day before, I believe.
Okay. Said Tuesday that he would not give Democrats anything in exchange for their votes to help save his speakership. Yeah. After Matt Gaetz moved to force a vote on ousting him. They haven't asked for anything. I'm not going to provide anything. McCarthy said in an interview on CNBC's Squawk Box. Akeem Francisco.
And then specifically, there's reporting from someone else who, I don't have the link right now, but that the Democrats specifically made an offer. And so for Sitch to come on and blame the Democrats is so deranged, as though the Democrat, like imagine anyone, if this was similar with the Squad and Force the Vote and Nancy Pelosi, attacking Republicans for not voting for Pelosi. Can you imagine that world? and especially in this
yeah,
case,
I know, because the standard for
Yeah.
Republicans is the bars in hell for them
It's
being
absurd.
decent people. Yeah, I can't imagine
absurd.
that narrative of like the Republicans didn't support Pelosi for leadership, and now it's their fault that we're in disarray. Like what? Yeah,
Sitch is so unhinged on this topic, and he even said, you know, I would change my mind if McCarthy literally told Jeffries to fuck off. But that's essentially what happened. If the Democrats come with you an offer and you come out with a public statement and say, you know what, I'm not going to offer anything, that's foreclosing any possible deal. And so it's bizarre to me that you could ever blame the Democrats for what's occurring. If you win the majority in the House, you got to get a leadership.
Yeah.
And it's not on Democrats to get your house in order.
yeah.
That's
Somebody,
absurd.
or not somebody, Gisticle in chat said, do you or Pisco think that McCarthy could publicly declare he wanted to negotiate with Democrats? Biden said that he'd work with McConnell in the Senate, who literally deprived us of a Supreme Court justice. Yeah, people talk about, AOC has talked about working with Gates, and I think, not Cruz, another controversial, but yeah, especially in the House. Yeah, the House leadership is all about compromise and working with the other side. If you have an issue where you, what are the Republican majorities in the House? It's not like they're that big.
It's like five or six.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. So, okay, I'm sorry. Jesus. Okay, that's even narrower than I thought. If your majorities are that fucking slim, then yeah, you better fucking believe that you have to have a conversation with the other side and work with them. What the fuck? Yeah, of course you do. What do you mean? That's wild to say, like, you can't be working with the other side when you got a 5-vote fucking lead in the House. Oh, people are saying 222 to 212, so 10. Yeah, but like, Jesus, that's insane.
Well, no, but it's like a 5-vote like shift.
Oh, sure. That if 5 switch to the other side, then yeah, okay.
Right. And just to be 100% clear, not only did this happen where the Democrats are making offers and they don't have the votes, but in the lead up to what like this entire vote and this entire process, McCarthy, one, breaks a handshake deal with the President of the United States for remember the debt ceiling debacle? And they had a deal, right? They had a bipartisan deal to not let this shit happen. McCarthy breaks it. McCarthy launches an impeachment inquiry that's based on fucking nothing, in my opinion.
He was the one that decided yeah. Okay,
Unilaterally going back on his word after he said that it had to be a full vote. That was his argument, but he said it had to be a full vote of the House, and he went back on that, launched an impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden. And then throughout this entire process, when he needs the votes for a continuing resolution so the government stays open, what does he do? Democrats give him his votes. They're the vast majority of the people who voted for McCarthy's continuing resolution that took away certain Ukraine funding, which Democrats wanted. He blames Democrats, even though Democrats were the essential party to get his own deal passed. And throughout this entire motion to vacate, he's criticizing Democrats. What possible appetite should you expect from Democrats to save your ass when you're not willing to negotiate, you're roasting them constantly, you're launching fake impeachment inquiries, and you're essentially, the only reason you're in this position is because Democrats, the only reason you have any accomplishments whatsoever is because Democrats have been able to negotiate with you. So it's just ridiculous for systems to come out like this.
Somebody said Destiny is coping by repeating the GOP in disarray. I mean, like, if anything, maybe it won't matter because people don't know how any part of the government works. But I mean, like, the GOP has huge problems in the House. Didn't it take them 4 days to even sit a majority speaker? Like,
it was like 15 votes or something approaching 15 votes.
rounds of votes,
yeah. Like to try to, and Dems had the exact same majority. Yeah, it's a little bit of a clown show. I mean, you've got to admit, you're on that huge huff pack of copium if you think that this doesn't look like a little bit of a fucking clown show.
And McCarthy gave into the I want to say the crazies. They're all kind of crazies, but the most MAGA people, he was giving into them by even making this rule in the first place, by launching their fake impeachment inquiry, by doing all this shit. And what are they getting rid of him for? Because he funded the government at all. The fact that he didn't stop the government from functioning, that's the basis under which to get rid of him. And so to say that they're not in disarray, this has never happened in the history of the country. How else would you define
disarray?
House caucus in disarray? Yeah, bro.
Gisticle is asking, please ask Pisco how McCarthy funded the government.
How he funded the government? Through a continuing resolution on the terms. He funded it for 45 days, or something like 45 days, on the same levels of previous funding. They just extended the time period and subtracted one thing that Democrats wanted, which was Ukraine funding. But that was the elements of the deal that were supposed to occur. And unfortunately, I'm sorry, when you're a minority party, when there's a divided government and you're a minority of one house of government, you don't get to just decide what becomes a U.S. government policy. You weren't ever going to get to a situation where you're going to cut 20% of funding for the government, where you're going to like What else do they want to do? They want to stop all Ukraine funding.
These would have to get through the Senate and signed by the president.
Through the Senate and signed by the president. Yeah. So just to be clear, and the Republicans didn't even have a majority to pass their crazy bill.
Sure.
It wasn't conservative enough for the Gateses, and so they never had a plan that was voted by majority by the House. The Republicans never had that plan effectuated, and so you can't even blame Democrats in the House for this.
Can you tell me if this is true? Because I see some people saying this. People are saying McCarthy changed the rules to allow for a single House member to require a no confidence vote.
Yeah. At the start of the session, he caved to the, and it's a disastrous rule.
Who was the one that ended up calling for his no confidence vote? Was it
Matt Gaetz?
It was Gaetz. Yeah. Okay.
The concession to allow one single party member to initiate the removal or the vote for removal or vacating the speaker role.
Okay.
That was the agreement that McCarthy gave to Gaetz in order to finalize the vote to make him speaker. That was what ended the 15 rounds, and everybody said that was stupid as hell, but he made a deal with the devil, and Gaetz enacted it. Yeah, he jumped on it the moment he could.
You can't negotiate with someone who has a gun to your head like that. I mean, you had a good faith agreement with the president, and this always happens where some group is going to get what they want, another group's going to get what they want. There has to be some reasonable negotiation, but like, suppose that the House were like, we're not going to fund the government until you, I don't know, make a law banning abortion. Would you ever say something that like that? The Democrats are in charge of not funding the government? No, these moments in time, these cliffs where we have to fund the government, there can be reasonable demands of others and reasonable negotiations, but the Republicans weren't negotiating in good faith, and they never staked out a position from which to negotiate with for the Democrats. And so it is so delusional to say the Democrats are responsible for Republican ineptities and disarray. And guess what? The same pressures that existed a few days ago are going to exist for the new speaker, whether it's Jim Jordan or whether it's Steve Scalise. Nothing has changed from that perspective unless you change the rule.
And a lot of people also like to point out that Pelosi was in the exact same margins that we were talking about that McCarthy had, yet still where the Democrats were able to navigate through those.
I have to stop everything right now. I had lost my mind when I saw Brianna Greyjoy or Joy Gray. That person tweet unironically that the dysfunction she was seeing in the Republican Party, that shows that what the Democrats should have done is force the vote. They should have
caused the same amount of dysfunction.
Yeah. How can you see the disaster that's occurring in the Republican caucus and say, you know what, I want that. I wish the Democrats did that and showed how incompetent they were so they lose as many seats as possible. It's so absurd to look at what's occurring and see anything other than total misfunction and abdication of government responsibilities. They don't deserve to be voted in, and honestly, there's no basis to complain about Democrat action or inaction here.
I don't know how. Maybe it's a very naive point of view, but like, if you have the majority in the House, that's on you. That's part of. I know that people don't appreciate because now we're past just like legislative processes, and now we're kind of into the inner workings of how these political bodies work. But part of these inner workings are wheeling and dealing. I don't even like to say wheeling and dealing, but like the conversations that you have with your fellow party members, your whips that get people all on board to vote and shit. That's part of effectively running a legislative body. You can't be so out of control if you're the Speaker of the House. That was one of the things that, lover or hater, the 150-year-old, 100-millionaire husband, Pelosi was incredibly effective at managing Congress. She did an incredible job. She fundraised like crazy. She machine gunned out legislation from the House like crazy, even if it was always going to die in the Senate. Like, Pelosi was really good at it. Like, that's, But
she brought the squad online, right? The squad came in talking big game about how they're going to force progressivism onto the Democratic Party, and like it was like literally within 2 weeks to 2 months, they were like lockstep with Pelosi and pushing just Democrat focus and not fighting.
And she's been the biggest fundraiser for the Democratic Party. Yeah, I want to push so quickly into like 2 years from now. I don't know where the Republican Party is going to be. I don't even know if it sounds hyperbolic, but I legitimately am not even sure if they're going to exist in the same fashion after this election cycle. Like, everything is so fucking crazy right now with the go ahead. Oh, I was done. I was saying everything's crazy with the Republican Party right now.
I was going to say, I agree that Trumpism has sort of dialed us up to 11. My point has been that the structure of this oppositionalism of this kind of obstructionism has been in place for decades now. That with the rise of Gingrich and the modern sort of Tea Party Republican movement and other kind of movements that have demonized
McConnell literally like just explicitly saying like my only goal is to cock block as much as I can from the Democrats. That is literally
Obama actually looks really naive in retrospect. And when he lost the House in 2010, he had a deal with then Speaker Boehner. But Boehner just could not get, he totally reneged on it because their existence is framed around opposition to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
And that, whether you have Trump or not, that looks like it's going to be true. I mean, what appetite is there for someone to work across the aisle with Democrats from the Republican side? There's zero. Bipartisanism is not something to laud in the Republican Party. It's a insult. It means you're a rhino. They were actually saying, it's insane to me, Steve Bannon and other MAGA people are calling everyone who voted against the motion to vacate a rhino. He was calling 98% of House Republicans rhinos. That's really where they're at.
Because Republican has become synonymous with supporting ride or die Trump and Trumpism, right? It's like, it's again, I point this out a million times.
How do you change that?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, again, people talk about like the extreme left and the extreme right, but in the voter base and in lawmaker areas, right, for Congress, like the extreme left is a minority to non-existent. But the extreme right for conservatives is literally eating their party alive from the inside out. Like it's like 70% of the Republican Party. Like it's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately came down to 8 votes. I mean, they only needed about 5 or 6 to actually get the vacation. But it came down to 8 votes. That's all it took. 8 votes to remove the Speaker of the House, and you've got those kind of margins. Ultimately, like you kind of have to rely on the Congress people giving a fuck about wanting to run government. And as we see with Gingrich and all the right, like Pisco was saying, the more and more you move to obstructionism, you eventually end up with a Matt Gaetz who all he cares about is his media presence and getting on the news and literally doesn't give a single fuck about working with the Republican Party. And that's why we see Gingrich and everyone calling for his head and talking about how he's insane and needs to work with them. And I mean, they're reaping what they sow.
Where's Donald Trump on this? I mean, he is just as much responsible for what's going on.
Well, kind of, but it's the Republicans' fault. The Republicans bought into a leader that doesn't care about the country or their party. Donald Trump is not a Republican. And I think even most Republicans support Donald Trump would support that now. They're like, yeah, fuck the Republican Party. Like if Donald Trump ran as an independent, he's taking most of his supporters with him. Like these are not Republicans anymore. They've morphed. They've mutated into something different. Here's a quick question for the future of the House stuff. So I don't know. You can tell me process-wise. Is it possible that we just get like a rotating cast of House Majority Leaders now? Could that start happening?
I don't. If you're asking my personal prediction, I think that there'll be enough anger at Gaetz to have a rule change.
Yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, that would be Gaetz stepping back and stepping down from something he said was needed. But the thing is,
Gaetz,
I think that
broadly speaking, I haven't followed the House drama much. Does Gaetz enjoy like pretty wide popularity right now, or is he drawing the ire? No, he's drawing the ire of a lot of House Republicans. Or
he's drawing
with House Republicans, yeah, absolutely. They hate his guts.
What about with the electorate? How do most conservative voters view
commentators
Gaetz?
Love Gaetz.
Okay, because that's another hard thing, because you remember lawmakers hated Trump. But when those poll numbers came out, they fell in line immediately. So I'm curious how Gaetz's broader popularity in the electorate will affect.
It's the double thing. Split.
Yeah, it's double thing, because at the same, on the one hand, they say Kevin McCarthy is part of the Uniparty, and so efforts to take out Kevin McCarthy are justified. But at the same time, Donald Trump didn't come out in support of Gaetz's motion to vacate. Donald Trump supported Kevin McCarthy, endorsed Kevin McCarthy, and so on the one hand, they say that it's Kevin McCarthy is a creature of the Uniparty, but Donald Trump supported him. Donald Trump gave him help. And
but that literally means fuck all, because Donald Trump supports and leaves people like crazy. Yeah, Jesus.
But the cognitive dissonance of thinking in one breath, if Trump gives you the all clear, we're okay working with the Uniparty. We're okay working with establishment folks for using them, I guess. But at the same time, we're celebrating their demise. But yeah, I think that Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise, these people have more MAGA bona fides, and so I think that they'll have a little bit more insulation from attacks from Gaetz, and I just think that there won't be further tolerance from Gates of this, but at the same time, I've been wrong before, and these people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Well, to change the rules, they still need to have the majority to change the rules, right? So you kind of need to convince at least a couple people.
But Gates tweeted out, oh, these rightoids think. He didn't say rightoids. That's my phrase. But he said something to the effect of, these people think that making it harder to get rid of Jim Jordan is punishing me. I love that idea. But then, like, you have no standing. You have no. The whole thing was this was a principled stance, and all of a sudden he's acting as though he'd be okay with getting rid of the rule if it was for Speaker Jordan.
Something I'm curious about, would you support Democrats, let's say they wanted to do that rule change, would you support Democrats voting against it unanimously? Or
yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Well, yeah, why should the Democrats vote for the Republican rule unless they're going to get something? I mean, like, I did not vote for a Democratic congressman, for that person to make it easier for Republicans to run the government. The Republicans need to get their house in order, and if they want to work on a bipartisan fashion for a rule, for a leader, for whatever you want to say, it's not going to be for free. All right, this is not like a charity. These are Democrats, and they want a Democratic leader, and it's absurd to say that we have a responsibility for governing in a body controlled by Republicans.
And one of the things that's kind of important to note it too is there's not like there's a wait period in between these motions to vacate. So if it hadn't passed in the first place, there's technically nothing that could stop Gates from just infinitely pushing for motions to vacate. They vote it down. He just immediately tables another motion to vacate.
And you have to have it in 2 days.
He said he was going to do just that. He promised he would do just that.
It creates a really strong stall pressure that exists even if people are voting. But it's a totally fucked rule. And literally every single person that.
But the most
I'm sorry. Can somebody explain? Because again, I'm following house shit. Why did they initially do this rule? What was the upside of it?
In order to Gates' concession. Gates said the only way you get me to vote for Kevin McCarthy, you get me to vote for you in order to become Speaker of the House, is a few of these concessions. One of which was the.
Yeah, but I'm asking why did McCarthy want this? Or I'm sorry, why did Gates want this?
Because as a way to hold it over McCarthy's head if McCarthy didn't comply with his wishes.
Okay.
So he could grandstand when he needed to and hold it over the head, and because he's going to probably run for governor. But
of Florida, right?
Of Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I expect.
Think of the argument that the Democrats shouldn't have allowed the crazies in the Republican Party to exert this kind of power, since we've been talking so much shit about Gates and Boebert and all these people. We're essentially playing into their shitty behavior by siding with them and voting out the Speaker of the House.
Fuck that.
That's a dumb argument. What did McCarthy give us? What was the benefit of keeping McCarthy? None.
Well, so here's my position. I think that the Democrats did the correct thing, but I think that argument has validity if they were able to get any kind of concessions. But it didn't sound like they.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't know to what extent they tried to get concessions out. Like, hey,
they tried, and he said, "F off." They tried. So, yes, it was reported that Democrats went to McCarthy and basically said, we'll save your ass in exchange for concessions, and he gave him the finger. And he also said publicly he wasn't going to deal anyway. So he earned it. He had it coming.
I think that it would set an awful precedent, too, to just do it for free, similar to the precedent of just accepting the hostage situation that was being offered by Republicans, where if you're just, because you want the government to be funded, accepting anything and everything that one minority of the majority party says, then at that point, is it even a democracy anymore? You're just allowing a hostage-taking situation for nothing, and just because
they have no limiting principle.
Yeah, so I do not agree with setting that precedent that Democrats just accept it because they hold their breath because something worse might be in the table. I don't see that. I think McCarthy's bad enough. McCarthy was already breaking deals. McCarthy was already starting impeachment inquiries that are based on nothing. He was already being a horrible MAGA Republican. And so I don't really, I don't see that much daylight, honestly, to be honest with you, between Gates and McCarthy.
Wow. Well, anything else, my lovely political people?
That's it.
You should really watch that video, though. You should you really should.
How can they make 24 minutes out of blaming Dems for this?
They're creative.
Okay.
Yeah, you really should. And IRI had a pretty good pushback to it, too. But, hey,
IRI's been great.
Yeah.
He has been. Is he I don't know if you guys can talk about, is he going to be doing anything next year? Have you thought about reaching out to him, or is that like best reserved for private?
Hold on, there were so many pronouns. What did we just, what?
Have you thought about reaching out to IRI,
Yes.
or is IRI going to be involved with it? Oh, gotcha.
Is IRI, wait, no, I wasn't saying yes. I don't know what your question is. Oh, with the canvassing stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. I hope so. The so far I have had absolutely zero input into who gets invited. Some people think that like people were saying like the Orbiter couch that I'm like giving Brianna like lists of people to invite. I haven't been in charge of inviting a single person or suggesting a single person for any of this, just to be clear so far. After my meeting tomorrow, I might get more involved with that, but PV, Progressive Victory, are running all those events and doing all that. I'm just invited there. That's not a DGG event that PV is running. That's PV's event that PV is running, and I've been invited to it. And then other people are because they're working with or around Progressive Victory.
Have you articulated, or has the canvassing operation, which was announced like a month ago or whatever, where you're getting people to like go, deep state canvassing for the 6 months or whatever, is that related to PV, or is that a separate thing, or are you potentially hybrid?
I think I'm going to do that no matter what, but right now I'm hopefully going to get funding and working with PV for that. But like I said, I've got a big meeting with them tomorrow morning where we kind of iron all this out. Yeah, because I don't want to work with Vosh in any capacity unless he's willing to do like a full disavowal of his past behavior about me and everything, and he's like still slandering me in his community. He did it yesterday, so yeah. But I don't know how PV is going to respond to that conversation.
Steven, on that, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Oh boy, you're about to say something that's going to trigger the fuck out of me. Go for it.
I'm not. I get where you're coming from. I agree that the onus is on him given what we've seen in this pattern. But I do appreciate that you're keeping the door open for the collapse. I don't think that you were saying that you're keeping the door closed, because I really do think this election is critical.
Yeah, I agree.
The kind of threat that we have to our democracy requires all hands on deck. And so if Vosh is willing to make some kind of gesture towards you, I really appreciate that you're not even discounting that at this point. And I think that's totally reasonable. And I just wanted to thank you for doing that and keeping that channel open.
Gotcha. Well, thanks, buddy. I love you.
Yeah, love you too. Bye.
All right, later, people.
Be careful, babe.
Yeah, the only other thing I was wanting to mention,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how familiar you are with the border situation. I heard earlier you had said that
I just heard a
you
talking
thought-
point recently that Biden has opened the borders. I keep hearing that, but yeah.
Yeah, that's I think one of your chatters was saying that's been something they've been saying since Biden got in office.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I just recently because I feel like since Biden gets in office, it's mostly this fucking trans shit is what everybody's talking about. But I feel like just recently I started seeing these things pop up on Twitter of like, this is what happened when Biden has the whole border open now. So I don't know if there was like a recent caravan or some lawmaker or media guy said this recently, but yeah.
There was. So what brought this to the most immediate attention? Elon Musk fucking did a live stream where he went down to the border. There was a recent caravan where people were streaming. It was like a few thousand people crossed the border at once. That got attention, and so that was like an Eagle Pass. And so Elon Musk was like, I'm gonna go show the truth about all the border happenings that the mainstream media isn't gonna show you. And so he went down there, live stream, talked to some people about the crisis, and that happened like this past week. So that could be where you're hearing a lot. But I was just curious, have you done like a deep dive onto like border and what kind of Biden policy is versus Trump policy, funding, like to kind of combat any of those claims?
Not at all. My understanding is Biden's policy has been more or less similar to Trump's, with alleviation of some of the big oofs, like the separating children and stuff, but...
Yeah, he's actually funded. I mean, he's increased the amount of funding available for multiple agencies, CBP, ICE, USCIS was a big one that Trump was actually defunding. Mm-hmm. So there's actually been an across-the-board increase in both hirings and in the discretionary budgets that these organizations have compared to Trump. And that's been the policy since the beginning too. That was like announced right away. So he's always taken, from one perspective, a stronger border policy from that perspective. Mm-hmm. He's actually also done quite a few things, including streamlining. There's this thing called the CBP1 app, which was a thing beforehand, but Biden really pushed it as one of the solutions to the border crisis, where they restricted the ability of people to enter in at ports of entry unless you have the CBP1 app and a dedicated appointment registered through the app. And then they actually pushed a huge amount of marketing to several countries that we were seeing a large increase of migrants from, especially in like the Northern Triangle, Guatemala area. Mm-hmm. And this actually drastically reduced the amount of this actually drastically reduced the amount of those countries having people enter through the border. Because they'd actually just get the app, they'd then get an appointment scheduled for months down the line, and then they just wait until they had their appointment to come, rather than entering in beforehand and then just filling up the border and getting processed. And there's multiple organizations who are actually suing the Biden administration, saying that this is too restrictive. It actually violates U.S. and international law, functionally by saying anyone who shows up the border has the right to request asylum. And so if you're turning away people because they don't have an appointment via the app, that actually goes contrary to the U.S. laws. So it's really funny. I say this all the time, but it really is. You need comprehensive border and immigration change in terms of the laws via Congress, because Biden, even by doing some very simple things, is being sued from the left about being too restrictive in his policies, while also being attacked by the right about being too unrestrictive in his policies, despite funding more than Trump did, despite working on actual policy initiatives to reduce the amount of intake and inflow at the border, hiring more individuals at these organizations. It can be said it's not enough since there was such a massive increase, but still, there's been a lot that's been done by the Biden team. So I would advise definitely look into it. There's a lot of information there. Republicans are just dead wrong about almost anything border related, other than there are record numbers of people crossing the border currently, which is still just true, but there's a lot to be said about it not being Biden or Democrats' faults or anything. So
okay, cool. All right, thanks for the info.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good one.
He's gone. Did you know that, Adam? He's out.
No, you're kidding me.
I'm
Really?
not kidding. He's gone, baby.
Look, he was winning the vote. Look, you're
No, he wasn't.
really?
He was not winning anything.
Look, he was winning the vote. Last I saw, they were talking about it. You're really?
He's done. He's out of here. How sad
Really?
is he gone? Yes. Okay. So to explain kind of what's
So
happening.
Matt Gaetz did it. Okay, go ahead. Give the background. Look, I'm
Okay, so-
shocked. I'm literally shocked right now.
Okay. So he's shell shocked. Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House for the Republicans. The Republicans are the majority, so they have the speakership. So it's a very slim majority in the House. And Kevin McCarthy was chosen to be the House.
These guys are dangerous to the cause. I think you need to confront them more. I mean, like, I don't know if they wanted to. I think they didn't want to talk to me after our last thing, and they got really upset after our last convo.
In Ukraine, where
Dozens killed in Russian and Ukrainian village. Oh, I heard this earlier. Let's.
Leader, and part of him being chosen, he agreed to some very, very, very stupid stipulations.
Yes,
And
he
one of the
did.
very stupid stipulations was normally, if you want to oust the leader of the House.
Vosh made another comment about you, about your Vosh segment.
All them Nazis.
Okay, even if they are bad faith, right?
Destiny's lecturing right now about how progressive victory is just a front for Vosh to steal Destiny's credit for. Speaking of politics-themed drama channels that exist to exacerbate and drive up every personal gripe into a non-stop cycle of monetizable engagement. Whew.
Okay. Even if they're bad faith.
Yeah, I don't want to get into this, but like we called this, right? This is exactly what his response was always going to be. Yeah.
House, it would require a majority vote just to even bring it up, okay, in the first place. And so he agreed instead to have some rule where literally one person, a single person, could decide to bring up a vote to oust the leader, and that was it. And that was it. And he was really, and he agreed to this stupid rule change. And so that's exactly what happened here. Matt Gaetz, who's on screen, the guy who looks like Joker from the original movie before he got Joker-fied.
What do you mean after he got Joker?
I guess he looks like after he got Joker-fied, but without the white face paint.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like when Jack Nicholson was like painting his face pink to try to still look human.
That's totally him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Matt Gaetz. Yeah, he's got a weird looking face. I don't know what's up with him. But anyway, so that's exactly what happened here. Matt Gaetz and I believe they're called the Freedom Caucus. Some people that don't like them call them the Chaos Caucus, who are like some of the more extreme right-wing people in the party at the moment, were very, very upset that Matt Gaetz passed the debt ceiling, and very upset that very recently there's all this rumors, all this speculation. Oh my God, there's going to be a government shutdown, right? That was coming up. There's going to be a government shutdown. Oh my God, there's going to be a massive government shutdown. People in the military aren't going to get paid. People in
Do I want to listen to 20 minutes of this?
Any sort of government job aren't going to get paid. A lot of government services are going to go into the toilet. Everything's going down. because these evil, dirty Republicans are not going to pass a budget. And wouldn't you know it, McCarthy and the rest of the Republicans in the House end up agreeing to pass some kind of budget. And this really, really triggered Matt Gaetz. And so Matt Gaetz decided that today is the day he was going to try to oust McCarthy.
Right.
And he succeeded.
So this was like a last minute thing. I was watching. They were doing a vote, and Matt Gaetz, Kevin McCarthy was ahead in the vote last I looked, and they were also doing speaking. And the rant that we had before the live stream began was just, it drives me insane when they bring up the debt and how we're on a road to financial ruin when I don't think that's remotely the case. Yeah.
Right. Someone asked a good question. They said, if he got enough votes to be dropped, is it that much of a stretch to say he have enough votes to bring it up? So I think I probably didn't say this when I talked about it. I believe that previously it wasn't just a majority that was required to oust the speaker. I think it was a majority from the speaker's party, I believe.
Oh, really?
And so that would not.
So Democratic votes can't save him then?
No. Once the vote comes up, so I believe that under old rules, generally it'd be like you have to have a majority of your own party has to vote to bring the vote up in the first place. Once the vote goes out, everyone votes on it. But just to bring it up in the first place, you have a majority of your own party against you.
I like to canvass you guys in Wisconsin. I went to the subreddit, but that seems to be a forum for leadership. Do you have anything you'd bring me to the one? We'll know more tomorrow. Don't worry.
Those are just one person. Because the way that the vote broke down now, the rest was all Democrats. 210 Democrats voted to oust Speaker McCarthy, and 208 Democrats voted to oust McCarthy, and 210 Republicans voted to keep McCarthy.
Right.
So that's what's kind of funny about this whole thing. This is all like, look at what Matt Gaetz did, look at what Matt Gaetz did. It's Matt Gaetz teamed up with the Democrats. It's funny, Matt Gaetz is not going to flip it this way. Matt Gaetz and the other 8 Republicans literally teamed up with the Democrats to remove McCarthy from being Speaker of the House.
Who is going to be Speaker now? Do we know?
No, we don't know. We have no clue.
Is Matt Gaetz going for Speaker of the House?
I doubt he would get enough. I doubt he would be able to.
We have this on CNN Politics 7 minutes ago. Republicans consider quitting bipartisan group after Democrats vote to oust McCarthy. Republicans on the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus are considering quitting the group en masse after Democratic members vote to oust Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, a GOP member said. Did you even know that there was a Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus?
I did. So there you go.
Oh, you knew that? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting.
So I sent you a picture of the vote. You can bring it up too, just so people can see it. Okay. So that's what's going on. So McCarthy's out right now. Who knows who will replace him? I doubt it. Let's talk about the strategy here. Because I feel like almost every single person on the left... I
don't know. I feel like this isn't a good utilization of my time. I don't know why I would just react to these guys and get triggered at them. Is there a reason for this? I don't know what the point is. What is this building up to? What's the point? Yeah. Maybe later if we have nothing else to watch.